Hey everybody, this is Game Hunter and Spear and Magic Helmet. We're here today to do our weekly podcast of Rurouni Kenshin. Today we are streaming the podcast on episode 23 of Rurouni Kenshin, which is the Wolf's Fangs. And it has a bulleted list in my notes of different things I have to say, and the Game Hunter probably has a bulleted list as well of his own notes, and we're going to talk about them.
I should have typed faster.
Oh, you're letting me do this one?
I was saying letting you do this as you were talking, but I should have typed faster. Hey everybody, welcome back after a week of planned time off. We had to review episode 23. We're officially releasing episodes as they come out now. I need to start doing that. As usual, we're your host, the Game Hunter, and Spear and Magic Helmet. Oh, I guess another thing too, I can actually announce this too. When we do review the final episodes of Rurouni Kenshin of the season, with that break coming up, season 3 will officially have ended and we'll be starting season 4. I had this thing of starting new seasons with My Hero Academia, so I'm not gonna change that because I have the power to. And we probably have 50 or 100 episodes logged in for season 3. I would have to go back and count that number, but we're probably sitting at 50. Something in my bones tell me we're sitting at 50. But with that being said, as Spirit said earlier, we're reviewing episode 23, the Wolf's Fang. Dude, hold up. The Wolf's Fangs, yeah. This is an episode. Makes me upset that we're like one episode to the end of the season. I'm very excited for the new season that's coming out this year, but I guess like as a side, I'm liking what direction we're going, some of the developments that happened in this episode. But I guess we'll stop beating around the bush and begin. Yeah, pretty much the episode pretty much begins with Hajime Saito showing up at the dojo. Hold up, before I speak outside my butthole, 1 minute.
He's under the guise of Goro Fujita.
Let me sure he's the first thing that happens. I just want to make sure that's what I'm checking. Yeah, he's the first thing. Okay, so yeah, Saito, as Spirit said, he's under his disguise. I want to point out, I honestly thought he was lying about him being, being a police officer, but I forgot that he is in fact a police officer. It's something I completely forgot. So that's an interesting detail that I completely was not aware of, or forgot that that was a part of his character. I thought that was interesting too. We found out later on he is actually part of the police force. An ex-Shinsengumi. But he shows up at the dojo. He pretty much puts on the fake smile that he showed earlier to another person, saying that he's concerned. He shows up at Kaoru because Kaoru asked Yahiko where Kenshin went, and Yahiko just tells her that he had an errand to run, and then he ran off. Kaoru's kind of concerned because there's not many people that he runs errands for. I'm actually kind of curious how many people does he run errands for, if this is a known thing that Kenshin does. But after that, Saito, under his guise of Saito shows up and says that he's here for the Batosai. They get concerned, and then he apparently dispels that concern, well, falsely, that he's working for the police force and he knows all about Kenshin. They all take a breath, and Prince says that he's here because of the there's apparently people targeting him. Again, he's the person kind of targeting him. And It says that he wants to be on a meet with them. Kaoru tells like, well, he stepped away. He'll be back later. He'll probably be back really late. She's like, is that fine? And he said he's okay with it because I guess he's been waiting for years at this point. He ends up like waiting inside the dojo, is like I guess practicing part of the building. Again, he's very good at the whole pretending to be somebody else. It's actually kind of creepy.
It's the eyes.
Yeah, again, we'll talk more about the eyes later in the show because they do a freaking fantastic job of that. I keep on praising that, but I can't praise it any harder. It's just the eyes in this show is really good. And then after that, Kaoru goes to where Sanosuke is, like, where he's still healing on the ground. I completely forgot when they showed this. I forgot that Sanosuke was here, still being healed by Megumi. I completely forgot those two were even here. But she talks to Megumi about what's going on. She says that Ken can take she calls Ken-san, but Kenshin can take care of himself. Wherever he is by himself. Kaoru can't stop worrying. But what's going on, which she should be. Megumi says that that the policeman is like the safest place for them to be right now, unbeknownst to any of them that he's actually the most dangerous person for them to be near right at this minute. I guess to speak of that about now. He does not make any effort to try to scare them. In fact, like when he first meets them, he dispels any concern, which I thought was also kind of interesting too. Like it's clear that he has an ulterior motive from the get-go, but he's really good at acting to the point where he can dispel any concern about his presence.
He's only so good at it because Sanosuke saw through his disguise, and that's why he got beat up.
That's true. I guess it's probably most of the people who have a battle instinct. Which is another thing too. I was really kind of weirded out that Yahiko couldn't, but I guess because Yahiko's still learning and he's still a kid. I'm guessing maybe he just doesn't have that battle sense yet. But
he asked some questions. He came in and said, "Why do you have a katana?"
Well, he didn't really ask why he had a katana. He was just, I wasn't aware that the police could have a katana. And all he said was that he was given special permission to wield his. And he didn't seem concerned beyond that.
No, not really. They didn't have... Kenshin is on such good terms with the police, and his statement was so believable that, you know what I mean, I've come to say that. So maybe it was like a much more informed like alibi than it was last time when he was like, I'm a simple medicine salesman. Would you like to buy some of my cure-all medicine?
I guess I was just kind of taken aback to Yahiko because I half expected what was really going to happen, because at the end of the last episode we see that he's tailing Yahiko back to the dojo. I have expected him to attack Yahiko and cause Kenshin to run after him, but that didn't happen. So what actually happened still caught me off guard, but I was also even weirded out the fact that Yahiko wasn't even aware he was being followed. There's like a few things. Like, I guess granted, he's still learning. He hasn't really, gotten to the point where Kenshin saw his potential. So I guess it's one thing. It's like, okay, he's still learning. He hasn't developed that sense, that wariness that Kenshin or even Sanosuke have about people. Be able to see the people's bull. But it was just one of those things. Like I was kind of hoping that maybe, even if he didn't like do anything about it, it would have been kind of cool to see if he had a little bit of wariness. But I guess it is what it is. It's not a big deal. It's just one of those random things that it would be kind of cool. Y'all could have that going on for him, just showing more of that potential that he has. But again, he's still learning. He's still a kid. But so let's see, does Kaoru say anything in particular? I was looking really quick. Yes, I already spoke about that. I guess we also just talked about, like, we go back to the dojo after Kaoru and Megumi have their talk. about being safer in the dojo, which I guess granted really is really true because he didn't do anything. He even brings it up later that, you know, he could have killed every single one of them if he really cared enough. But it was one of those things like, man, because I know how dangerous he is, you know, the audience knows how dangerous he is. Her saying that it's safer in that dojo is so, in so many ways, so wrong. Because I was scared with him being in there. The very few times I'm watching a show where like the immediate threat is in the building with the main characters, and I'm literally scared because he is so close. Like he has a gifted swordsman as we see later. But yeah, like Yaiko sneaks up on him, he locks up on him in the dojo area, the practicing area, with his bamboo stick. First, I wasn't aware that swordsmen were swordsman officer were allowed to, you know, use katanas, and he's like, well, I got special permission, and not in so many words, he says like, you know, there's like those sabers, that's what they're calling them, those batons, those nightsticks, only can do so much, and they're not a real sword is in no comparison to it. It pretty much in his own words saying, I'm going to use my own weapon. I'm not going to use anything else other than that. But again, you know, the whole idea that, you know, Yahiko was like within stepping distance of him, and we know how fast he is. He could have easily stabbed Yahiko through the shoulder like he did Sanosuke, but he didn't. And whenever Yahiko started talking to him, he just started talking back. He didn't need to do any of that. And I think also his eyes were open when he was talking to Yahiko. No, it wasn't. Never mind. His eyes were closed. This man's a snake. He really is just a snake. And then from there we go back to where we left off Kenshin, which was him being thrown around like a sack of potatoes. And Akamatsu thinks he's killed him, only for Kenshin. He was just playing dead, so he can get an explanation out of Akamatsu about what he's doing there. We learn that this is actually when some of the details for this plot coming up right now are come out. Akamatsu is an assassin hired by politicians to kill him, and Jean was one of them. I think it's what that guy's name, Janine. I forgot the name of the guy that he first fought. Man, we just see really quick because he says his name's here. So he's just like Saito and Jean, like they're assassins hired by politicians. He's not aware of why they want him dead, but he doesn't care, obviously, because he wants him dead himself.
He's got a lot of hubris, this character.
Yeah. I mean, he's done a lot of killing. I mean, he's never met anybody like Kenshin, so like he, in his own mind, he has the right. So far, Kenshin hasn't done anything that would lead him to believe that he's out of his league. Yet. Mind you, yet. And the he's also aware of like some VIP about the Kuragasa case. Is the Kuragasa case the one with Megumi involved? I completely forgot who that name was.
I'm not sure.
Oh wait, so that's the samurai dude that kidnapped almost Kagome Karu. So who the heck is Jean? Wait, Jean and Kuragasa are the same person. I'm so confused. He used both their names. Okay, never mind. It's the same person. Yay for two different names being meaning the same person. We had some VIP found out about Kenshin, the Kuragasa case, and apparently feared his evil deed. I guess this is what he's assuming is what's going on here, is that, you know, he found out Kenshin is involved and he didn't want Kenshin blabbing about whatever happened back in the Bakamatsu era, which, by the way, Bakamatsu keeps coming back this episode. Just gonna give everybody a forewarning. We're gonna hear this word a lot. I suspect we'll be hearing a lot in the future as well. But it's Bakamatsu era.
Bakamatsu's gonna be back? You're saying Bakumatsu is going to be back?
With the era, because I mean, it seems like a lot of things are happening during that era that apparently are coming to bite Kenshin in the butt.
Yeah.
I just suspect that we're going to be hearing that name a lot, and then like whatever's going on in that area, we'll find out whatever happened during that time. Kenshin was around during that era. After he spills all the beans, Kenshin gets up saying, "Oh, I see." So that's what's going on, and they pretty much like just lays into Akamatsu after Akamatsu tries to slam him more times to the ground to kill him. It was quite shocking. Well, not shocking, more like expected. I was like wondering, oh, how? I was like wondering. I think he brought up a question like why was he? I guess why he was like fighting this guy or whatever. Before I'm not sure. I think he had a question about like why he was even fighting this guy to begin with, but well, he got our answer now. He was trying to get some information out of him. He hears that Saito is also involved. Apparently, I guess Kenshin doesn't know Saito is like around. I'm guessing based on the way he reacted later. But he's like, okay. And he's kind of disappointed that Saito is, I guess, wielding his sword in the same manner that he wielded it, I guess, 10 years prior. Again, with the eyes in this show, though, it's really good. You see, like Kenshin's like really disappointed. After he defeats Akamatsu, he goes back to the dojo. As he's walking back, he gets caught off by Kaoru, wondering what's going on. And Kaoru's like wondering, is it true that you're being targeted? And pretty much he's like, where'd you hear that from? She brings him back to the dojo, says this policeman told us all about it.
She barely gets to say it though because he's immediately recognizes it, who it is.
And he is stunned and shocked at the realization of who this guy is. And this is part of the episode that kind of like from here things get really interesting, especially with the I guess with the characteristics of the eyes. And another is like Saito's eyes here. He opens them up, and pretty much he keeps them open the remainder of the episode. I don't know why I'm focusing on these eyes, but I'm saying right now these eyes in this show. I'm gonna keep on harping about it. I'm gonna keep harping because it's like this is a detail I can't get over. It's I don't know how they're conveying so much emotion through them, but they're really conveying a lot of emotion through them. But yeah, he recognizes Saito and they have their little conversation. Pretty much Saito says that, like it's been a long time. Apparently it's been 10 years. And I think Kenshin's like 28 right now, so like last time they met he was 18. Was he 29? I forgot how old Kenshin actually is right now, but it's at 10 years. Like he's like a decade. It's like a long time. But not really. Is like I guess they're waxing philosophically about the aspect of time and what it does to people. And I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a really weird like conversation they were having. But Kenshin even says that 10 years like rots man, and he's like referring to Saito. Everyone's like when he first meets him, Kenshin is very upset with him. He's like, I can't believe you're doing this. How dare you? Why are you wielding your sword this way again? You haven't learned your lesson. Saito doesn't seem to care. He keeps on. He also goes back to. He also starts referring to Kenshin as Batosai, and he even calls it like he's weaker now. He's not as strong as he was when he was the Batosai earlier in years. He even says that his Rurouni, him being Rurouni, has made him weaker, has made him duller. As they actually start to like I guess fight each other, it is made apparent that Saito isn't a normal, or I should say, he isn't an ordinary samurai. Up to this point, there's a show we had like normal samurai that try to be bigger than they are. Some samurai who are really good, like they're as like good if they were given time they could be even better than they were. What's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Ayoshi Shinomori is one of those like samurai that are decent. Also, as they're talking, I guess like Saito really releases information that he knew about Rajuta, the dude that disabled the little kid from being able to use both his arms to wield a sword. Apparently this information shocks them because he wasn't like I think it was Karu who realized like how did he know about that? Because like she didn't think the police were involved in that case, and it brings the fact that like, he must have been waiting for Kenshin for a long time. I am under suspicion that maybe the police have more information that they're letting on, but who really knows after this point yet? Um,
This is a throwback to one of the earlier episodes where what's his name, the tough guy, Sanosuke, where Sanosuke is gonna go fight somebody, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And like, "You just disappeared for 3 weeks," and he goes, "I am fighting him, and by doing research on him." And I felt like this is the same thing, that like he's demonstrating that he's done extensive research and extensive work on to like learn about as much as he can about Kenshin. And as he's doing it, he's outlining many of his shortcomings where people who catch his eye are kidnapped or wounded while under his protection, in danger, and things like that. And he's undermining like the whole mission of Kenshin, which was, to try to be doing good and saving people. And he's like, well, they're not being saved; they're being kidnapped and wounded. Sometimes permanently while they're under your watch. He also criticizes Kenshin's unwillingness to kill evil, quote unquote, and to like let it live.
mm-hmm. I mean, I
Which
think Kenshin. I wasn't Kenshin and him working for the same government at the same time. I think aren't the Shinsengumi just like government hired dogs?
I don't know. I can't remember.
But yeah, he goes on. Like, he's constantly berating Kenshin for his desire to not kill anymore. Um, Kenshin also makes it well known that he doesn't care what he thinks. Like this is who he is now, and they get into a fight. Saito demonstrates that at this point, when he's not using all his full strength, he's probably just as matched to Kenshin as anybody possibly could to this point. He sends Kenshin flying. He's stabbing him in the chest, and Kenshin apparently was quick enough to. He wasn't too quick to not get stabbed, but he was quick enough to not have the stab hit the sword hit a vital organ for him to get out of the way of it. As this fight's going on, apparently the people around him are starting to notice some changes in Kenshin's demeanor. As the fight goes on, it's starting to show that Kenshin is reverting back to his old ways. Kaoru actually starts noticing it, and she refers back to when Kenshin fought Jin back when she got kidnapped, and she was afraid that if he goes further into this state, he might not come back. It's kind of showing like she's very observant of Kenshin and who he is.
Mm-hmm.
She spends this entire episode like worrying about Kenshin, and probably rightfully so, because like as he's fighting Saito recognizes too that he's slowly but surely slipping back to being who he once was. And like Saito's getting caught off guard a couple of times every time Kenshin decides to strike him. And another thing about those eyes is that Kenshin's eyes, like they become like really dilated as the fight goes on. They're not as big and wide and full of color. I noticed. They kind of just start shrinking, and like I guess he's becoming more determined to fight Saito. And at some point, he utters the words, "I'm going to kill you," or something to that extent, like, or those are my words, "I'm going to kill you." I'm like, everybody else gets concerned. Yahiko, Kaoru, I think Sanosuke comes running in the back room at some point, right? Oh yeah, it happens during like when he's fighting Saito and he's like no longer the Kenshin that we know. That was just happening.
Yeah. What was I going to say? I've been waiting for a chance to talk for a long time, and I lost what I was going to say. Had to do with Saito. Oh, the Saito like makes the observation, I think to himself. This time he doesn't say it out loud to Kenshin. That Kenshin is always the manslayer, like coming like a degree of the manslayer comes out when he gets into a fight. It's just, and that Kenshin might not realize that the manslayer is coming out. And as we're seeing this fight go, it's like every time he gets an engagement with Kenshin, Kenshin's stronger. And even though he loses the first four interactions, like he's getting stronger each time until finally the fifth time he's able to land a heavy blow back on him, and like the course of the battle like starts to change, where even though he's injured, like he's like holding his own against him at that point, or even a little better than holding his own.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, every time he strikes him down, he gets back up stronger. I think it's the best way to put it. Is like every time you strike me down, he's gonna come back up stronger. I'm not sure where that phrase came from. I'm pretty sure Jocko probably know. But I was thinking of the whole like him reverting slowly back to the manslayer. As the fight's going on, Kaoru gets really concerned. She tries to get involved to stop Kenshin because she's concerned that Kenshin will never come back. Sanosuke apparently he's still injured. With Megumi's help, comes out and he's brilliant, saying that not one of us is gonna be able to break him out of it. This is somebody from the era, the Bakamatsu area that they're actually fighting in. Because after Kenshin manages to land a heavy blow on him, Saito just says, "Okay, that's it. I quit. I'm gonna kill you now." Is basically what happens, and they start fighting full strength. Apparently Saito had been holding back, and Yaku's like, "Are you kidding me? You've been holding out on this entire time?" I'm sitting like, "Kid, you really don't want to fight this man. You're not strong enough to fight him yet." I mean, if Sonosuke was unable to dodge or take a hit from him, like, you definitely would stand a chance. But at that point, Sonosuke brings the fact, they're stuck in they're back in time now, and you can pretty much see it with the way Kitchen speaks towards him at this point. I don't even think his speech, his I don't know what you call that whole like that it is or what. I don't think he even talks like that anymore, as he's talking back and forth with Saito. And apparently, as fight's going on, we apparently are then drawn to a horse and buggy with two people apparently from the police force, saying how much time how much time has passed since Saito's entered the city. So apparently they're really aware of he's been here for a while now. Apparently it's 4 hours, and he's like, "Huh, we may not make it in time." I'm like, well, that's ominous. And he's like, can you hurry? Can you make haste to the dojo?" And we go back, and then the fight continues. There's a point where Kenshin is like readying one of his sword strikes. Kaoru goes running to him crying. I guess all I want to bring up is like this episode's kind of sad. Some episodes of this show kind of been like happy-go-lucky or like mid, like not many two emotions have really been stated. Just a lot of like informational dumps. This is kind of like one of the sadder episodes because you're kind of seeing everything kind of through Kaoru's eyes a little bit. Seeing Kenshin like this, and you can tell that it's really concerning her, and she's only seen Kenshin like this one other time. I also want to bring up too, it seems like the only time this ever seems to happen to Kenshin is whenever she's within like a certain distance from him or people that he cares about. He kind of seems to revert to this really stronger version of himself. I mean, I think earlier he even questions whether he can protect people without killing. He even questions that himself. That might have been actually the last episode he questioned that. But they're just fighting. I guess this is actually an impressive fight, even if it wasn't all that like much action. But it just shows like Saito's very. They even bring up that like the Shinsengumi don't use like trickery in their fights; they're more like straightforward. And that may have something to do with the fact of like why I guess Kenshin's never been able to like really defeat any of the really strong ones. He's always like yeah, like it's at 1651 where he says like, "I will kill you now" is my line. and just the look in his eyes is just cold. I guess it's really like Kenshin's eyes are just like cold. They're not like there's no like I wouldn't say there's no life to them, but it's like he's like dead serious. He looks exactly like the way he looked when he was younger, when he was killing for the government. Like seeing the shift here is actually kind of like really kind of scary. The show does a good job at like showing you the different moments in this fight.
It's a really engaging fight. I think it's probably the best fight so far. Like in the series. You disagree?
No, I'm trying to think like where I land on that. I guess for like poignant fight, really good. I guess Isuki is better than like his fight with Ayoshi, if I had to be honest. Yeah, I mean they're not really fighting seriously. It's already clear that, you know, Saito came here with an agenda. He's really not good at he's not really good at public speaking, I'm guessing. Because I mean, when he first shows up in Kenshin, all they really do is talk, but Saito's the one that just throws the first sword swing. Kenshin's like only reacting, and apparently at some point while they're fighting, Kenshin breaks his sword and he throws his sword away and starts, I guess, like grappling, kind of, almost choking Kenshin to death. I gotta say that Kenshin's got a strong neck. Because before this,
brutal scene though, isn't it?
well, I mean, Saito doesn't care anymore. He literally said, "I'm gonna kill you now. Like I give up. I'm not gonna go through what I actually came here for." It's like, you know, I guess another thing too is like how he says that, you know, how Kenshin is like back in the Bakamatsu period. So is Saito. Like he's not thinking about like present day. He's thinking of at that time when he was fighting him for the very first time, I'm guessing. Like both of them got that serious, I'm gonna kill each other, I'm gonna kill you look going on in their head, and they're not giving up. Kenshin literally like turned his blade around to do like it was like clear that, you know, they're both fighting for their life. I forgot that Kenshin also drops his sword at some point. He gets his sword taken out of his hand, I guess. There's a few scenes also with his sword hand that like he holds his hand in a way that he would hold his hand while he was holding his sword. Like when Saito doing that brutal scene of him choking him, like puts his hand up in a way that he causes the sword scabbard to hit him in the chin.
Yeah, showing once again that like his most powerful weapon is his sword scabbard.
I hate that that's true. I hate that that's actually true.
It's like the most overpowered weapon in the world, and it always takes them off guard. Every single time he uses it, it's the last thing they expected to happen.
Well, most swordsmen don't use their sword scabbard to fight.
I know, but like he's used it to like knock people out. He's used it like to defend himself in the last minute. He's used it like in the beginning of that series, like he was taking his sword and like leaving it in the scabbard. And I just thought that was like him being cocky and like, you know, showing that he doesn't need to take the sword out of the scabbard to beat him. But like the scabbard does a lot more than the sword does. Like he really makes a lot of use out of that. So it was like, by the time I saw that, I was like rolling my eyes. I'm like, once again, the almighty scabbard is like.
I don't really think it. I mean, yes, he makes the most out of his weapon. That's for sure. But I guess another thing too is like Kenshin, like his sword doesn't have the ability. Wow, I at this point I really can't sit there and say that his sword doesn't have the ability to kill people. I'm pretty sure if he wanted to kill somebody with that blunt side, he could. But like his sword doesn't, technically speaking, in the traditional sense, have the edge to kill somebody. Like probably blunt force trauma is probably what he could do with that sword. On the edge that's not sharp, but the edge that is sharp, that's ridiculous. But yeah, he's made real good use out of multiple. He's probably got like scabbards sitting somewhere in a dojo that no one knows about. He's probably like, all right, I'm going to bed, Kara. Don't wait up. And he's like, he just goes over, he goes into the room, closes the door, opens a secret passage that's inside the room that Kara doesn't know about. And it's like, okay, Lucky Skyward number 5. Don't tell me now. Yeah, he catches them off guard, and at this point, they're both backed up from each other, and they're like breathing heavily as they're about to go in for their next strike or their next part of the fight. The police chief, well, one of the police chiefs, like show up saying that you're not here to kill the battle site, you're here to acquire services. And it's like just like, I'm not here, I don't care about that anymore. I'm here to fight. We're getting to the good part. And then the real boss shows up, big old mustachio man.
He's a real person. He's a real person and looks surprisingly like the animated version of him. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
On Discord.
Wait, that's Toshimichi's the one that's in the episode?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, let me get to it. That's actually kind of creepy. Kind of scary that they actually managed to do that.
But if you look at the picture of the guy, like, it looks very, very derivative.
Oh god, that is scary on brand.
Yeah, like 2103 gives you a pretty good look at him. But it looks like they're trying to draw the exact same thing. Like, they don't... It's like an anime adaptation of it, like 100%.
He's a Japanese state. He looks like he's European, but apparently he's Japanese.
Yeah, he's definitely dressed like a European.
He shows up and stops the fight, and then Kenshin's like, "Oh, of course, it's you. You're the reason." I forgot the exact words he used. I see. So the mastermind behind Hajime Saito was you. And really, he shows it too. Like Saito kind of gets shocked that he's here too. But like he shows up, he's a former revolutionary warrior from Satsuma and home minister of the Meiji government. I cannot believe that. Geez, they really animated him. It's like I'm gonna get the budget out. We're gonna use every single bit.
It's interesting too. I don't know what he'll be in this anime, but in real life, from November 1873, when he was made the Home Affairs Minister, also known as Lords of Home Affairs, a newly created post for him, until his death in 1878, he was the most powerful man in Japan.
Huh. So apparently, in real life, he was one of the 3 great nobles. I don't know if they exist in this show. 3 great nobles. Who are these people? Huh. So, I mean, not that it really matters for the show right now, but like the 3 great nobles, he's included in one of them. He's included as one. There's this guy named Saigo Takamori, and then Kido Takayoshi, and they're all kind of dressed like European, except for maybe Saigo over here. I'm not sure what he's wearing. He kind of looks like he'd be dressed as like a, I want to say that's Nazi uniform. That's like a military uniform, so never mind.
Yeah, it's not Nazi. If anything, he's like a London detective or something like that.
So Saigo here. Again, this doesn't really matter. I mean, the episode kind of ended as soon as the guy shows up. Giant mustache man shows up. See, Saigo was a Japanese samurai and nobleman. He was one of the most influential samurai in Japanese history. He was one of the great nobles who restored the Meiji, who led the Meiji restoration. He, living during the late Edo and early Meiji periods, he later led the Satsuma rebellion against the Meiji government. So, based on this, he might actually be inside the anime. I don't know where he is, if he is in the anime. Like, what his anime counterpart is going to be like. Apparently, historian Ivan Morris described him as the quintessential hero of the modern Japanese history. Oh, he died. He was 49. And he married. He had 3 wives. He divorced 2 of them, and then the last one he was married.
49 isn't a lot of time to go through 3 wives.
Well, apparently he's only married. He was married to Suga. I don't know how to pronounce her name. He was married to her. The first wife was like 2 years, and then he didn't. He after he divorced her in 1854, he didn't go and get married again to 1859. The second wife, Otama Kane, he was married to her from 1859 to 1862. Though they don't say he got divorced from her, so I can only imagine she must have died. And then the second wife he married, the third wife, sorry, he married in 1865. I can only imagine. No information about her. Information about her. I don't know what happened to her. And he had like 1, 2, 3, 4 sons and 1 daughter. At least that's one noble. The other one, how about Kido Takayoshi? What about you? How are you important? Formerly known as Kido Takayashi, formerly known as Katsura Ogoro, was a Japanese statesman, samurai, shishi, whatever the heck is that bit. Were a group of Japanese political activists of the late Edo period. While he is usually applied to anti-shogunate, pro-sono samurai, similarly from the southern clans. Don't know what any of that is. Apparently, something like this guy was a politician. A politician that was formerly a samurai. Wait. See here. She should usually apply to anti-shogunate, pro-sono. Revere the emperor, expel the barbarians, samurai, primarily from the southern clans of Satsuma, Choshu, and Tosa. The term shishi is also used by some in reference to supporters of the shogunate, such as the Shinsengumi. So maybe that one guy that's with him, maybe one of these guys? He doesn't look like any of them, but he's got a monocle. Who's that guy that's with him? Hold up. I look at have a monocle, but the guy is balding. Huh, that guy kind of looks like Kido, actually. He kind of looks like him. The only thing, he's got like he's got like a triangular mustache thing going on there. Like the first guy that talks to Saito before Saito says, "I'm not gonna listen to you." I'm not sure like what importance he has, but I just know his name. Yeah, like thank you for. I did not expect that guy to look so similar to his anime counterpart. That's kind of scary. Like his likeness was legitimately immortalized inside the show. I'm pretty sure he didn't agree to this. Certainly he's dead, but still.
So let's talk about the finale coming up. How do you see this like finale becoming a satisfying one?
What I mean, what do you mean? I mean, it's all
What
it's
I
really
mean
going
is
to do
like
is lead. It's going to lead us off to like how they're going to start season 2.
it's gonna have to, because it can't. It had like the series hasn't been building up any tension, like or anything to pay off. Like it's been good stories. Every episode's been a good story, but like there's no overlying like build up here that like is gonna like
I
go.
mean, kind of. I mean, they talked about Shishio. Like they brought him up. Like I think at the end of I think it literally happened at the end of the Rajuta stuff. Like they brought him. Like I mean, it wasn't. They never brought him up to Kenshin, but I mean, it was brought up that there is this guy that they're concerned about before all this stuff even started dropping. You know, before Saito got involved and everything, they brought up Shishio. There has been a tiny bit of build up. I mean, nothing of real important yet. Um, uh, I mean, if you're talking about like how this is going to end, I suspect they're going to probably bring up him to Kenshin, considering that all they're really here to do is ask for his help, and the worst thing that Kenshin can do is say no. That's what they're going to probably explain the situation to Kenshin next episode, tell him that there's this guy that is kind of proven to be a threat, and we need your help. We know you don't kill anymore, but we still require your help. That's my suspicion about how that's gonna go, considering that, you know, they talked about this guy and we haven't dealt with him yet. And he's made it to be such a big deal. I mean, I made him out to be such a big deal, but we're not gonna get into that. I don't know if it's satisfying, but I feel like that's gotta be the way it plays out.
Yeah, I guess so. But it just seems like they're dragging another like antagonist in to like deal with, which is like the repeated theme throughout the entire series so far.
I mean, I just know like they're dragging him in here. I mean, I guess as again said, they did talk about him, and it wasn't even like the guys had a presence. The guy they're talking about hasn't even had a presence really. And so far we've gotten other themes too about, you know, Kenshin's past. I mean, so far like this whole idea that Kenshin doesn't kill anymore. Kenshin is very, very serious about it. He only like somehow lets that go when he reverts back to his self from the past. So there's probably like, I mean, like there's like a real reason behind that, and I suspect that maybe we'll get to that point at some point too, about like what's really going on here. Why, what happened to Kenshin? Why doesn't he, you know, kill anymore? We never did find that out either. It was something that we just know that he doesn't do anymore. Like, it seems like it's such a sudden change in direction from the way he was before. At least when we were able to tell, you know, we can already gauge from him. And I don't know, like, what do you want them to do in the final episode of season 1?
I think if they try not to make it a finale and they just set up for season 2, I'm okay with that. If they set things up for season 2.
I mean, that's what I think they're gonna do. I have no reason to doubt that.
But I'm used to maybe spoiled on animes having like a good finale episode at the end where something serious happens.
I mean, there's no saying. I mean, as I said before, the guy that they're hinting at, that they've been like alluding to, hasn't really made it a presence yet. Granted, he apparently, according to the characters that are concerned about him, have shown that like he is somebody that need to be keeping an eye on. There's a possibility he might make a small subtle appearance at the end of the episode, leading, and they're gonna say like coming up in season 2, because we already got confirmation that season 2 is happening.
Right.
I think they already confirmed it when the season ended. As for what happens beyond it, I don't know. Again, I'm already really aware of the next character, the next fight's coming. But beyond that, I'm very much in the dark. I guess another thing is like, I don't think they really necessarily need to build up every episode. I mean, when they had the time to do and dedicate episodes to doing it, sure, but like they only had 24 episodes ordered by the network, and like I'm guessing like I guess one is like, okay, why do they have to throw in this new villain so soon if they're not gonna have time to deal with him now? Like I would say like they need to do that just to just in case that they were going to have another season. They had to prepare for the eventuality, because I don't think shows even know if they're going to get another season until maybe the show's nearly over and the network orders them to make another set of episodes. Like I say, in the event that they were going to have a season 2, they wanted to make sure that people came back. Like, granted, they could have done the whole aspect of like, okay, it sounds like we're rolling out to the end of the show, and then they throw in a villain or somebody at the end of it, like, help, we need help with something, and then they end the episode there. The show does a good job with cliffhangers. Still looking at you, two-parter from earlier in the show. It's not even just that. Like, his fight with Sanosuke got two-parted. I think Yahiko's fight got two-parted. The Jin thing, I think, had multiple parts. So they know what they're doing. And again, I hope I didn't overhype Shisho as I'm talking about him. As like I remember comparing him to the Frieza, and I kind of want to what I really want to do is like his importance, because like I mean people know about Frieza's importance. I want to just not the fight itself, but Shisho's importance. It's kind of like what I want to harp on. We'll get to that when we get to it. That's part of the reason why I mostly compare him to Frieza. But let's see what happens. I mean, I know Jock has his own way of analyzing things, and this is why he's here. So I mean, if he doesn't like Shisho at the end of all this, nobody throw your pitchforks. That's basically what I want to say. I guess with that, I guess we get into the podcast here. We got one more episode, and it's literally titled Meiji 11, May 14th. I do not know what that means.
It's a date.
Well, no, it does a date. I'm just saying it sometimes these titles have significance.
It sounded like you didn't know what it meant, and I was just letting you know it's a date.
Listen, I'm just trying to say, like, these titles usually have significance beyond just naming the title. I mean, like the Wolf's Fangs, that's significance here. I'm just saying, usually the titles have significance. So.
Yeah, well, if we want to get really significant, it's actually in the spring.
Okay, guys, have a nice evening. We'll come back next week. Smart. Good night.